Let's begin with the big breaking news coming in. Speaking on the sidelines of the UNGA, the External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has lashed out at China, saying China is blocking Masood Azhar's listing, and this is China's third attempt in 4 months. Jaishankar taking on China on the sidelines of the UNGA, directly speaking about not having Masood Azhar as a designated international terrorist. Talking about it, Jaishankar saying that China has blocked the terrorist listing, and this is China's third attempt in 4 months. So the big attack on China coming in from Jaishankar. This is in the sidelines of the UNGA that's happening in New York. While speaking about it, he mentioned China and said that China has blocked Masood Azhar being designated an international terrorist. And this is China's third attempt in 4 months.
The fight against impunity is critical to the larger pursuit of securing peace and justice. The Security Council must send an unambiguous and unequivocal message on this count. Politics should never, ever provide cover to evade accountability, nor indeed to facilitate impunity. Regrettably, we have seen this of late in this very chamber when it comes to sanctioning of some of the world's most dreaded terrorists. If egregious attacks committed in broad daylight are left unpunished, this Council must reflect on the signals we are sending on impunity.
Srinjoy Chaudhary joining us live on the broadcast on what this means. A very, very strong position being taken by India. Jaishankar shaming China as he says that China is attempting to stop the terror listing, designating Masood Azhar as an international terrorist. And this is the third attempt in 4 months, Srinjoy.
Yes, it's not Masood Azhar only. It's not just Masood Azhar. Masood Azhar was a while ago, but there have been others after that. There has been Rauf, who is Masood Azhar's brother. There has been Sajid Mir, who is responsible for 26/11. And there has been Makki, who is also a dreaded terrorist. Now, all these attempts on Rauf, on Makki and Sajid Mir were attempts by the UN Security Council to sanction all these three leaders. As it happens, they have been blocked by China. When you block this, you can block it for 6 months. Now, China has blocked these sanctions against these three leaders for 6 months. They will come up again, and we will have to see what China does. The point China seems to be forgetting is that these leaders could cause a lot of trouble for China in places like Xinjiang. China does not seem to realize that. Besides that, of course, China has been helping Pakistan, because when you block sanctions against Makki and Rauf and Sajid Mir, you basically support Pakistan. You basically save Pakistan from embarrassment.
That's right. Do stay on with us, Srinjoy. Request you to stay on with us. We have PK Sagar also joining us on the broadcast. This is a strong statement that has been made by Jaishankar. He has spoken about China's attempts and also called out the double standards of China when it comes to terrorism.
It's a very, very timely statement, because China, in each and every fora, whether it is the United Nations or it is the SCO or it's the BRICS, they've always been speaking, saying that they will support every action against terrorism and they will act against terrorists. However, there's a huge amount of difference between what they speak and what they actually do. This is not the first time, this is the third or the fourth time that they're using a technical veto to support a terrorist for Pakistan. And this is something that is being noticed by all the members of the Security Council. Last time, when they put a technical hold for 3 or 4 times,
yes,
the entire United Nations Security Council was in favor of India. Except for China, the other 14 members were totally in support, and yet the technical veto of the Chinese prevailed. under these circumstances, there's a beginning realization dawning on everybody that China continues to misuse the veto power. And it is time that somebody caught the bull by the horn. And Jaishankar has said this statement in a very strong and in a very right fora. Chinese have to be told that this is something that is not acceptable, because not only are the Chinese protecting terrorists ex-Pakistan, but they are wanting to use terrorism in a very major way to once again revive insurgency in all the northeastern states. They're beginning to realize after the Ukraine war that any land war against India will not be winnable for China, and China could be similarly embarrassed as Russia. Indian army could move into fair amount of areas in Tibet, and the Chinese would be in back foot because they again have the technology, but they don't have the experience, they don't have the expertise. Their troops are ill-trained. They don't have the morale and motivation to face the Indian armed forces. Under these circumstances, now they are working out a plan to once again use Myanmar, Nepal, Bangladesh and ISI to revive insurgency in a very major way in the northeastern states.
Okay.
Earlier they were responsible for abetting and supporting and funding the most intense states of eastern India. But unfortunately for them, almost 8 states, most terror is almost finished. And in northeast complete, there's tranquility, peace and tranquility. And this is what they want to disturb. Hence, it was very, very essential to expose China. And I think Jaishankar...
All right. Major General, that's a fair point that you're making of China blocking it time and again. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Lieutenant General Raj Kadyan also joining us on the broadcast. China has blocked this attempt by India for the nth time. It happened in 2016. It happened in 2017. Now yet again placing it on technical hold. India has called out China, but do you expect China to respond?
Yes, what our foreign minister has done, and very rightly, is to highlight the fact that United Nations, which is a body, should be thinking of global issues without any parochial interest. But countries like China have been repeatedly misusing their position in the permanent membership of the Security Council. And he has exposed China's duplicity in bailing out Pakistan repeatedly. Firstly, in the Financial Action Task Force, when Pakistan should have been put in the blacklist long time ago for terror funding. But they know China, firstly, they have invested hugely in Pakistan. Secondly, they need Pakistan to checkmate India's rise to a great power. I don't think they can do it very long. So, Jaishankar has very rightly used the word. When the subject came up, he said, sitting under this very roof. We have seen cases where countries bail out and refuse to recognize the international terrorists to be designated. So I think that is a clear indication we should keep hitting China diplomatically wherever we can. Economically, unfortunately, we are not still in a position, although gradually we should. But what they have done to India in Eastern Ladakh is a unilateral action. In the world body, they try to speak a kind of a global language, but their actual interests are parochial. So I think that's the right way to expose China to the world body.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for joining us with your views. We have Major General Giri Bakshi also, who's joining us on the broadcast. Most wanted man in India, Giri Bakshi, but the bonhomie between Pakistan and China has hurt India time and again. Now Jaishankar calling it out in the public forum on the sidelines of the UNGA.
No, absolutely. This is the height of hypocrisy. China goes to the world loudly lamenting that there is terrorism in Xinjiang. Actually, what it is doing there is state terrorism. I mean, it has put about 6 million Uyghurs in concentration camps and is treating them as subhuman, and it complains of terrorism. So, what is sauce for the goose is not sauce for the gander. I mean, on the one hand, it says it is a victim of terror, and then it locks, you know, the people who have been carrying out large-scale massacres in India, Pakistani citizens and Pakistani denizen terrorists it has been constantly trying to save them from the wrath of the United Nations. It has been constantly trying to prevent the emergence of a rule-based order, where such people are taken to task, where the nations of the world unite to end terror. But here it is a very selective terror which it wants to continue against India. And it is providing shelter to Pakistan to carry on its war of terror against India, its proxy war against India. This is the height of hypocrisy, and number one. And number two, it just shows the China's evil intent when it comes to India. It wants to hurt India in every possible way, to keep it confined to South Asia so that it cannot pose a challenge. And the fact of the matter is, we need to call them out of their hypocrisy. We need to call out China, and we need to now tell China that, look at the way, this is not the only help they have given to Pakistan. They have provided the blueprints for the nuclear bomb. They provided the uranium for the first 5 bombs. They tested the first Pakistani nuclear bomb on Xinjiang, on Chinese soil. I mean, how much can you do to harm India? I think it's about time.
And perhaps Pakistan is also well aware that it has the backing of China, which is why it has failed to act. Talking about Masood Azhar as well, Pakistan had recently said that he is in Afghanistan, and no action taken yet, despite him being one of the most dreaded terrorists in the entire world. Major General, thank you for joining us. Let's listen into that reaction, the statement, the strong words in which Jaishankar addressed China.
The fight against impunity is critical to the larger pursuit of securing peace and justice. The Security Council must send an unambiguous and unequivocal message on this count. Politics should never, ever provide cover to evade accountability, nor indeed to facilitate impunity. Regrettably, we have seen this of late in this very chamber, when it comes to sanctioning of some of the world's most dreaded terrorists. If egregious attacks committed in broad daylight are left unpunished, this Council must reflect on the signals we are sending on impunity.
So the Union Minister calling on the Security Council to send out an unequivocal message. But the question is, has the message gone home with what Jaishankar was saying?